Okay, so been doing a lot of fair stuff today on WoW, sorting out some things, trying to figure out what happened with that blazing hippogriff. And I don't know how to support it, to initiate a support ticket. So hopefully Aaron can help me that one, but as everyone was traveling or still in Stockholm yesterday, he had stuff to do today. So it's just how things work. Some people were still there, some people are doing a different conference, some people were flying home, blah. Anyways, as I've promised you guys, Matt, I said I would talk about how I vacation, because this goes to the generalized idea of, like, I don't go someplace and I don't, like, when I look around Amsterdam, I don't see all the wonderful old buildings, and like when I see Central, I'm like, oh look, it's Central. So I don't get all the fine tuning stuff. I mean, it's nice to look at the old things, but I don't feel anything from the old things. You know, seeing, like, being physically in Stockholm doesn't do anything for me. You know, I'm at a city. You know, I want to go do things that are within it, but not everything that people would do. And I guess this might be a bit of my autism. I mean, yes, the Avicii experience is, but that's a little different. That's like people coming to Amsterdam and then attending literally every museum, like the Anne Frank House and the Rijksmuseum, and doing a few other things in the Van Gogh Museum, all that jazz. Doing all these wonderful things about the, you know, the old-timey history museums. And I'm sitting here like, take me to Cotton Cabinet. Take me to the Cat Museum, where it's all this various art. Like, I probably wouldn't find it interesting, but like, take me to Nemo, you know, take me to artists. We went to the Avicii experience, and then we got lost in a supermarket. And when I mean a supermarket, I mean like a mega hypermarket. Like, Uhlens was weird. Uhlens was almost a mall, but it was weird, and it was interesting. And it makes sense for a said area like that would have things more intra and tunnels throughout everything, because it does get sometimes ridiculously cold. So, yeah. And then walking around the city, like, walking around the city is one thing. Taking the transit, it's another thing. I like riding trains, but like going to various places might not be the thing. You know, when I see all the very little things, you know, I look at words, you know, like this says gereserveerd, apotheek Zeeburger Eiland en SAE Gezondheidscentrum, you know, and I try to say the words in the proper tonality that the language has. You know, that's why I was like, Alains, Olains. Like, I couldn't figure out how to say the A until I did some research, and I realized that it's kind of. I'm not perfect at it. And I know there's probably a Swedish person out there that's like, no, it's more of an not an I'm like, whatever. But that's what Google Translate pronounced those letters as, is Uhlens. And it makes me think of, like, Orleans. New Orleans. But, like, finding a world map and finding the inconsistency. Like, to be fair, that thing was 100% neurotic on my part. 100% neurotic. There was no reason for me to complain about just seeing that. I was like, this is so like, you're in the neighborhood, but you're about 400 miles off. Like, in a world map, yeah, that thing was pointing at Seattle in the bird, but it was not in actuality close. It's like having it point at Amsterdam, and you're like, but you're actually pointing at Cologne. What are you doing? And that's, you know, or further, even Frankfurt. It's like, that's not Amsterdam, that's Copenhagen. What are you doing? You stop that. Well, you can't have them on top of each other, because in a world map, like Brussels and Amsterdam are almost on top of each other. Yeah, there was a thing about, you know, but like, why would I just go down to the water? I mean, I just wanted to go to the water. You know, Aaron got to go on that boat ride, which I thought was really cool. You know, the little dinner cruise thing. I probably would have been a bit overwhelmed. I would have been outside more rather than inside. But, like, the cruise, I didn't need to, when I went to Dubrovnik, I went to the walls of the old city. Just because I knew a lot of people were like, well, why did you go, you went all the way to Dubrovnik and you didn't go to the city walls? I'm like, fine, so I did it. But I didn't take a bus or a tour. Fucking walked up and over the hill to it. Mainly because I wasn't gonna spend $12, but you know. But regardless, like, we did do the things that were like touristy in Athens. We went to, you know, the Parthenon, and we went up to the Acropolis and all that jazz, and we took the pictures and we took the guided tours. But by and large, when we were out cruising, and that's what I said, somebody asked me on Facebook, well, what's going on? Because they haven't talked to me in a while. And they're like, oh, what's going on? Well, I'm heading into Stockholm for a, oh, okay. And then like 2 or 3 days later, I got back. I'm like, sorry, I don't check this very often. I don't actively open Facebook. And it's not on my phone anymore. And he's like, oh, that's okay. So what's in Stockholm? And I'm like, I don't know. I mean, Aaron knew the Avicii Experience was there, but I didn't. He didn't tell me about it. Oh, the sun is very oppressive today. Oh, good, there's the wind. But, yeah. And so, I'll sit here for just a second. I'm not looking at anybody's apartment. Oh, by the way, I'm on the corner. This is like the corner of the neighborhood. But anyways, yeah, it's always strange because I'm not going to go to the very typical things of like, I'm going to go look at pathways, and I'm going to go look at restaurants. I'm going to see how a culture expressed itself through the adoption of other cultures. Because that in of itself is a thing that a lot of people don't get. I spend a lot of time, all of my life pretty much until here, living in the Pacific Northwest, dealing with this United States citizen by birth, but like half Canadian, half Mexican. I'm not ethnically that, but that's the Pacific Northwest. There's so many Mexican immigrants, and there's so much of a Canadian influence coming from the north that they kind of mix together. And the East Coast of the United States doesn't even feel like that. Doesn't even feel anything like the United States. Like, like like in the Hunger Games, you can divide the United States up into like 13 different areas and it'll be fine. What's up, kitty? Anyways, and yeah, it's just, I had a lot of fun looking at all these things, seeing the transit maps, seeing the maps of the world, seeing all the various things that Stockholm has, but I didn't go to any tourist things aside from the Avicii Experience. And even that wasn't very popular. I mean, probably because nobody's really visiting Stockholm right now. But when they are, that place is busy. But again, what I found interesting was finding the food halls, finding the malls, seeing how the transit works, seeing how the bike lanes function. I mean, I'm not an infrastructure person, I'm just really fucking autistic. And if there was a science museum there, then yeah, like an OMSI or a Nemo. Like Aaron and I still need to go buy Nemo, and I think we might do it this summer. Yeah, that's pretty much what that is. So that's my retrospective. A lot of it is just me sitting there staring out at water or watching buildings, not knowing where anything is, and just saying, hey, let's let the wind take us wherever we go.